Congress members from both parties are reacting to the MeidasTouch network, who has now opened up a D.C. bureau in Washington, D.C. We have our reporter Pablo Manriquez on Capitol Hill, and he is asking the members questions, and we are getting breaking news as these questions are going and the answers are going viral. Let me show you what went down. We spoke with Republican Congressmember Thomas Massie, who is one of the sponsors of the discharge petition. Here's what he had to say. Play this clip.
For the fact that these Epstein files still, there are millions of more documents that they're still reviewing at this point.
You know, if this were a private law firm with 5% of the resources of the DOJ, this would have been done by a deadline. And they just missed another deadline, which is the report to Congress, which is supposed to list all of the politicians that are in their files. And also, they're supposed to justify all the redactions 15 days after the first 30-day window. But the biggest problem isn't that they're missing the deadlines, is what they're redacting. So they're citing the Privacy Act, and they're trying to pretend like that overrides a law that we just passed that says you can't withhold records to prevent embarrassment. They're also citing FOIA standards, which don't apply to our law when they're trying to say that they don't have to release internal decisions. But our bill specifically says release internal decisions.
So what are you going to do about it?
We're looking at that.
And then we spoke with Jamie Raskin. Here's what Congressmember Raskin had to say. Let's play it.
Do you think that on Venezuela, do you think that the attack on Venezuela and the capture of Maduro is just a means to distract from the Epstein files?
I don't think it's just that, but I think that is certainly part of it. The timing of it is explained by an effort to distract people from Epstein files.
Got it. Thank you, Congressman.
He's desperate not to see the Epstein file go public, and they're in a full-blown cover-up.
Got it. Thank you, Congressman. Happy New Year.
Then we heard from Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Let's play this clip.
Any reaction to the White House blaming the police for the violence that happened here on January 6th?
I mean, my reaction is the same. They live and they always want to write their own narrative. So many times they're actually rewriting history. You know, it is a disgrace to see what this administration has done as it relates to just even the official White House page, right? They rewrote history on that page and trying to pretend as if the victims were those that were incarcerated on that day. So listen, all I've got to say is that the American people are smart. We're seeing that they are paying attention. We're seeing that they're fed up. Whether you talk about no kings or whether you talk about the election results that we have seen across this country, we know that in this moment, the American people are not satisfied. Not only are the polls showing that, but we're showing up and showing them that. And so I just want people to keep having faith. Have faith in the institutions. Have faith that we can go ahead and shore them up, because right now it feels like things are crumbling around us. But at the end of the day, we, the people, make up these institutions. And so if we lose faith, then we will lose everything. So on this day, as we remember how bad of a day it was in our nation, as we look at those images, also recommit yourself to making sure that we never see another day like that, and we never see another leader that would instigate this type of travesty on our country.
Okay, thank you, Congressman.
Back to Thomas Massie. Let's play this clip.
So typically, like with contempt, you might refer that to the DOJ, and then the DOJ never prosecutes itself. And then the problem goes away at the end of the Congress because it's contempt, because they're not in compliance with the congressional subpoena, which expires at the end of Congress. This law does not expire at the end of Congress. And so they've got a real problem. The contempt that the Congress refers, they could be in jeopardy of that even after this Congress expires.
Now, this clip that's since gone viral, Pablo Manriquez speaks with Ted Lieu, Congressmember from the Democratic Congressmember. Play this clip.
Question, what do you make of the White House blaming the police for what happened here on January 6th for the violence in the Capitol building?
The White House's statement is batshit crazy. That's what I have to say.
And just, I guess
they should not be blaming law enforcement when it was the police officers that valiantly protected the Capitol and protected the people in the Capitol from being harmed.
And what does it say about the phoniness of the Republican claim to be backing the blue?
It's completely phony when you're attacking police officers and saying that they're somehow escalating the attack on the Capitol when it was the other way around. They were protecting the people in the Capitol.
Got it. Thank you, Congressman.
Sure.
Next up, we have Congressmember Costa play this clip.
Congressman, what do you make of the White House blaming the police for the violence that happened here on January 6th?
That's outrageous. I was here on January 6th. It was the saddest day of the 20 years that I've served in our nation's capital as a member of the House of Representatives. We had a violent mob that was sent here on behest of President Trump to overturn a fair and free election. And notwithstanding the fact that he continues to lie and distort the facts about what really happened on that date. And then to add insult to injury, to pardon some 1,400 participants that were convicted of attempting to overturn that fair and free election. And once again, we see the president trying to rewrite history, but he can't because the facts are the facts.
Got it. Thank you, Congressman. Appreciate it.
Back to Jamie Raskin.
What do you make of the White House blaming the Capitol Police for the violence that happened here on January 6th?
Typical Donald Trump. But why doesn't he come down and testify under oath? Or even just testify in Congress? We won't make him go under oath. I know that's what all his lawyers are afraid of. They don't face perjury charges. Why doesn't he come down and tell us about his experience on January 6th when he sat there for 187 minutes and didn't send out the National Guard and didn't respond? And why doesn't he come and have an encounter with some of the police officers and he can hear from them directly? How about that?
Then Pablo Manriquez even caught up with Lauren Boebert and asked her if Donald Trump killing her legislation to bring clean water to Colorado was retaliation for her signing the discharge petition to release the Epstein files. Play this clip.
Congresswoman, do you think that Trump's veto of your rural water legislation was retaliatory for your supporting the release of the Epstein files?
I mean, I think President Trump is pretty upset at the leadership, the Democrat leadership in Colorado. I don't know if it was retaliatory or if someone just didn't explain the numbers to him correctly, but this isn't something that is going to cost taxpayers the amount of money that was stated. And there's already been hundreds of millions of dollars spent on this. This is a federal water project that was promised 60 years ago. And this is something that Southeast Coloradans deserve. All it is extending the repayment period and waiving the interest caused by Biden inflation under the last administration. So we have a vote this week. It's automatic, and hopefully we have the votes to do that. And if not, we can find other ways to kind of work around this.
And what would your message be to your colleagues about overriding this veto?
That it isn't something that is going to cost taxpayers a lot of money. This is something that was promised to Coloradans 60 years ago under President Kennedy, and it's the federal government that has been getting in the way, but this has been supported in a bipartisan, bicameral manner for 60 years. All we're doing is extending the repayment period for water users, 50,000 water users in rural Colorado, and then waiving those interest fees caused by skyrocketing inflation under the Biden administration.
Got it. Thank you so much, Congresswoman.
Let's hear from Democratic Congressmember from Virginia, Walkinshaw. Play this clip.
So, Congressman, any reaction to the White House blaming the police for the violence that happened up here on January 6th?
I think it's absolutely outrageous. I mean, as Chuck Schumer just said, it shows what a lowlife Donald Trump is to blame the incredibly brave police officers who put their lives on the line to defend our democracy on January 6th. Is absolutely outrageous. We had some of the family members of police officers who lost their lives as a result of January 6th. And I'd love to see Donald Trump tell them to their face that January 6th was our police officers' fault rather than his own fault. He's the one who incited the violent mob of insurrectionists who attacked the Capitol on January 6th. Our police officers, some of them gave up their lives to defend this Capitol.
Thank you so much, Congressman. I appreciate it.
Here's what Congresswoman Sykes had to say. Let's play it.
Congresswoman, what do you make of the White House blaming the police for the violence that happened here on January 6th?
Well, we've seen President Trump and his administration continue to downplay how dangerous and scary January 6th actually was. And it's really not shocking, but it is still disappointing because the brave men and women of the Capitol Police and the Metro Police stood up for our democracy, stood up for this country, and they should be heralded as heroes, which they are, and not blamed for a violent mob that wanted to overturn the government and throw an election.
Thank you so much, Congressman. I appreciate it.
Congressman Schneider, let's play it.
Congressman, what do you make of the White House blaming the Capitol Police for the violence that happened here on January 6th?
It's a continuation of President Trump trying to erase history. I was in the gallery on January 6th. I've been working to protect democracy ever since. This administration is trying to do the exact opposite.
Here's what Nancy Pelosi told Pablo Manriquez. Let's play it.
Madam Speaker, what do you make of the White House blaming the police for the violence that happened here on January 6th? They did that earlier today.
It's just another part of their misrepresentations. They have an aversion to fact, and that's one terrible thing. But to spread their lies is really irresponsible.
Here's what Congressmember Aguilar had to say. Let's play it.
So what's your reaction to the White House blaming the police for the violence that happened here on January 6th?
This is just another effort by Donald Trump's White House to whitewash what actually happened on January 6th. They released this website, while former police officers were testifying to House Democrats on what they saw and who was to blame. So it's just, it's another step in the effort of Donald Trump to rewrite history with his friends here on the House Republican side and their, fake select committee that they put together.
And then Pablo got some great sound bites, great interview he did with Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. Here's what Rand Paul said about Lindsey Graham. This has since been major news right now. Play this clip.
I'm wondering how worried you are about Lindsey Graham talking about President here about Cuba.
There should be a law that Lindsey Graham can only go to the White House every other week, and that he's only to meet with mid-level people, not the president, and no more golf outings. If I could pass a law saying no more golf outings.
He was on the airplane with him, and he's pushing Cuba. He's saying Cuba's days are numbered.
It's always been an anomaly because Lindsey Graham has been diametrically opposed to everything Donald Trump has ever said on regime change for years and years and years. And yet it's probably the quintessential political maneuvering beyond all political maneuvering that a person who's so diametrically opposed to everything that MAGA stands for has infiltrated MAGA and is pulling MAGA over towards regime change.
More from Rand Paul. Play this clip.
This is something that I remember in the first debate in 2016, the first presidential debate, when I was there in the primary, talking to his family and how they all said, we like Ron Paul, we like the Paul family, we like this idea of not being involved in this foreign war. It was something I liked about Donald Trump. It was one of the things, whenever I had misgivings about something else, I would always come back and say, well, he's the best we've ever had, much better than the Bushes, who were war mad and wanted to be involved in all these crazy wars overseas, or we're going to make the world safe for democracy. I never liked any of that. And I thought Trump was different. And so it disappoints me, but he's under the thrall of Lindsey Graham.
Here's Rand Paul again. Let's play it.
Senator, what does it say that he alerted the oil companies about his strike on Venezuela before he alerted Congress?
Bizarre notion of the hierarchy of a democracy, to think that he's going to go to private companies and talk to them about this. And really, in the end, I'm all for American oil companies if they want to freely make contract with a freely elected government. But it's not our business to sign up contracts. It's not our business to tell the Venezuelan government, okay, you can be president if you'll make a deal with 5 of our companies. I mean, that is the gunboat diplomacy of the 19th century, and won't make the people happy. I mean, really what we need to be hoping and praying for is that the people in Venezuela vote for a non-socialist. I think this is about socialism versus capitalism, free markets versus controlled markets, and they've chosen socialists for the last 30 years. Before Maduro, before Chavez, there's a whole string of them back into the 70s. And so this is the Chavez and Maduro were sort of the end, the culmination. And then our embargo and sanctions didn't help it either. But their socialism has utterly failed. And I hope they won't choose the same thing again.
This is what Senator Collins had to say. Let's play it.
Any reaction to Donald Trump giving oil companies the heads up before Congress on his strike on the strike on Venezuela?
I'm not aware that he did that. I do think Congress should have been informed earlier.
And finally, MAGA Republican Senator James Langford. Let's play it.
So quick question on Venezuela. What does it say that President Trump notified the oil companies before he notified Congress?
I had not heard that actually, so I don't know on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you know enough about what it means that we are running Venezuela?
I don't think anybody knows at this point. The vice president is now president of Venezuela. She's got to be able to cooperate with us in the days ahead. Obviously, she is a socialist and has had a long history for Marxism there. So,
what additional information are you looking to find out?
Just process what happens next, where things are going, and what kind of cooperation we're getting from Venezuelan leadership.
Do you feel misled?
Folks, it's thanks to you that we were able to open up our DC bureau. If you want to help us expand, go to our Substack right now, search MeidasTouch on Substack, and that's MeidasPlus.com. Become a subscriber to that Substack. That's one of the best ways you can help us grow. And let's keep expanding the team. We're going to be bringing you this news live from Capitol Hill every day now. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.